We are now recording. Hello, everybody. I am sorry for the extended break, but as you all know, I was in California, and then I needed a week to decompress from being in California. So, thank you all for your lovely messages about the trip. I'll talk about it a little bit, but not too much. So, California, I think, has to be one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. It's got the most unbelievable coastline, like Monterey Bay. We hit Pismo Beach, Carmel. We went inland to like Paso Robles. And if you haven't seen San Francisco, you really, really, really should go and see San Francisco. It doesn't feel like a city at all. It's kind of, I would say, kind of the smallest big city in the world, I would say. The people are so warm. It's crazy. Seriously, if you're going to plan one big trip, go to San Francisco. I haven't posted any pictures because I don't really want to bore anyone, but maybe I'll kind of stick a poll up in the comments and you can let me know if you're fussed about seeing any of my holiday snaps. And then as for the getaway, I will say this. What happens on a Fire Nerds getaway stays on a Fire Nerds getaway. But I do want to thank some amazing, amazing, amazing people that I had an opportunity to spend time with there and get to know. And I'm going to do it in alphabetical order because I'm a Virgo and that's how I roll. And then I'm not playing favourites. So big shout out and a big thank you to Alex, Beth, Carla, Shelley, Claire, Dory, Elizabeth, Lou, Michelle, Sandy, Sonia, Susan, and Tammy. You are all absolutely beautiful people with beautiful souls. And I love the connection that we made, and long may it last. So thank you all lots and lots. And talking of beautiful people with beautiful souls, you will all remember, I'm sure, the name Angie coming up multiple times on the podcast. She's been here since day one. She's been an absolutely massive support in so many ways. And if it hadn't been for Angie part sponsoring my trip, I wouldn't have been able to go to San Francisco and down the coast and see the Fire Nerds at the getaway. So, and this honestly was truly the trip of a lifetime. It was incredible. So I owe Angie a massive debt of gratitude for everything that she's done for the podcast and everything that she's done for me personally. And so without further ado, may I introduce to you all my illustrious guest host for this episode of the podcast, Angie.
Da-la-da-la!
Here she is. This is Angie. Hi, Angie.
Hi, Melissa.
How are you?
What an introduction. That was fantastic. Totally undeserved, but I'll take it. Hi.
Well, you might not think you deserve it. Thank you for coming in and sitting and talking through this episode with me.
My pleasure.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, or do you want to remain a woman of mystery?
Austin Powers. I'm an older lady, as you probably know, and I've had a fantastic life so far. Lots of really different jobs and places I've lived and stuff. But I'm now quite settled where I am and quite happy. Yeah, I've been an engineer. I've been in the Air Force. I've been in the police. All sorts of things. I'm a big cat fan.
Wait.
Yeah. But yeah, and I live in a very rural village. So yeah, I'm getting stuck into gardening and things. So that's me.
Lovely. And how did you find Station 19?
Actually, through watching the other show, Grey's Anatomy.
Ah, you're a Grey's fan too.
Yeah, only because we got to the season 14 and the gorgeous thing that is the Italian goddess. And they started advertising. No clue. And they were advertising Station 19 as a spin-off. So I thought I'd start and watch it, which I did. So that's how I got to Station 19.
Brilliant.
And the rest is history with all the podcasts and everything, the Fire Nerds. So, yeah. And I learned technology at my age, which was amazing. So it's taught me a lot in many ways.
You've managed to get on here and record this with me, and I'm amazed that I managed that. So good on us both, I say. So shall we talk about episode 703, True Colours?
Uh-huh.
Let's get stuck in. So the original air date was the 28th of the 3rd, 2024. The writer for this one was Stacey Okanula, and she also wrote 510, which was the Haunted House episode, 517, which is the one where Karina's green card application thing comes through.
Mm.
Then Stacey Okinola was the story editor for season 6, as well as writing episode 609, which was the one where we meet home wrecking Pam, and Karina goes home to get shampoo. And she also co-wrote 617 with Leah Gonzalez, which is the one where Vic stops Beckett from taking his own life. So we've got a few big episodes in there with
Yeah.
the series 6 episodes, which I would argue would be marquee episodes of Station 19, really.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, some classics there.
Yeah, absolute. And then the director for this one is Peter Page.
Of course.
And Angie, you might have to stop me before I get started talking about my favourite man. So shall we just say Peter Page and move on?
Yeah, that's enough.
Okay. All right. So shall we start? Because I think this one was a little bit bitty, but not in a bad way, I don't think.
There was a lot going on, wasn't there?
Yes, and there's
Loads.
kind of lots of mini stories that kind of branch out from, I think, the incident.
Yeah, yeah. They melded together and then split up again. Yeah.
Yes. So I
Yeah.
thought if we started with Andy and the incident,
Yeah.
then the stuff that we talk about afterwards might make more sense.
Okay.
Okay, so the team have pranked Andy. They've hidden her kit, which she finds rigged up in the barn during lineup.
Yeah.
She has a little bit of a moment when Ben walks in late with Prue, and then she assigns everyone their duties before sending them off to have a kick-ass pride, in her words. And as a nice touch, we fade to the title screen with the Station 19 logo in pride colours rather than the customary red.
Thank you. I was about to mention that. That was a lovely touch. It was a great touch.
It was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
And so we go to Pride. There's like quite a joyful atmosphere, but that atmosphere is pierced by mask-clad men in pseudo-military dress chanting, "Let men be men, make America straight again," in the mould of sort of the Proud Boys or the Patriot Front or any of these other paramilitary right-wing organizations that are now, unfortunately, a mainstay of US culture. And they call Ben's trans sister Roz a pedo and tell her to take her hands off little Prue before chanting pervert. Andy confronts them and has to be pulled away by Ben before he goes and checks on his sister, and he asks her if she's still up for this, and she says that she's fine, it's nothing new. And then Maya gets a shock when she thinks she recognises one of the protesters as her brother Mason.
Yeah.
Then we hear a car backfire, but people panic thinking that it's gunshots instead, and a stampede ensues. And so then it's down to Andy to try and kind of deploy 19 and control the scene as best she can. So everyone's in their little high-vis vests trying to direct the crowd calmly and safely out of the area when Sullivan realises that a drag queen who was performing on a float has now fallen, but the float is still going, and she's being dragged along by her dress, which has got caught. So then Sullivan jumps on said float and kind of gallantly hoists her up and holds her clear of the ground, whilst Theo leaps on the running boards of the vehicle that's pulling the float and then directs the driver to stop. Meanwhile, a group of guys are kicking the absolute poopy-doo out of one of the protesters because he jumped their friend. And Maya pulls down this protester's bandana sort of to reveal his bloodied face. And she does so with trepidation because she's concerned that it's Mason, but it's not. However, when she goes to get an oxygen tank off the rig, she does see Mason running away. And just to double check, she calls his name and he turns around, thus confirming that it is him. They sort of sort out the scene, all's fine and good, and they all head back to the station, but everyone is quite clearly kind of emotionally drained by what happened. They're all sort of sitting around sulking into their soup. And Andy says that she doesn't want the fascists to have all of the power, and so they decide to take it back. So Travis gets his dad's boyfriend, who is a DJ, over to the station, and he, I think the cool kids say, spins a set. I don't know. I might have heard that. Angie, I'm so uncool. I don't know, but I think they say that they're going to spin a set. I don't know. The only records I listen to are like from the 1970s. I don't know.
Oh, me
Um,
too.
but they throw a pride party right there in the barn.
Yeah,
Everyone has a great time. It all saves the day, and even Beckett ends up doing a little step clap.
yeah,
So, I mean, a lot went on. It was really chaotic, but I think as far as Andy's involvement in it and kind of the basics of the incident, did I hit all the main points, or was there anything that you wanted to highlight?
yeah. I thought she did actually control that quite well. I know Ross was there as well, dictating aid cars and things, but Andy was pretty damn good. I would
Yeah,
say. Yeah, and
yeah, she was on it.
yeah, she was really supportive to Maya when
Yes,
Maya
she
thought she
was.
saw Mason as well. And yeah, and one thing I picked up on in the barn when they did the lineup at the very beginning, when she called Prue Little Miller, which I thought was a really nice,
Yeah,
sweet
that was
touch.
adorable. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. And I don't do kids, but there you go. Um, but yeah, no, I thought yeah, Andy was yeah, she was good, and it was funny about the kit as well, all the gear hanging up from the rafters. But yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
good.
good. I thought I thought that it was disturbing and upsetting, but I also think it was important that the white supremacists called Roz a paedophile, because so often this is the comparison that is drawn for no good reason I can fathom, other than people who sexually abuse children are kind of the lowest of the low.
Yeah,
And if you can build a picture of the trans community as being paedophiles, then you can really ensure that people who would otherwise be, I mean, at worst tolerant and at best
mm.
supportive of the trans community, you can ensure that those people will switch to distrusting and hating the trans community if you can associate them with something like the sexual abuse of children.
Yeah, it's just a word, and it changes everything.
Yes.
People's
Um,
perceptions. Yeah, it
yeah.
does.
So I thought it was actually really important that they put that in, because we know Roz from Grey's Anatomy and from Station 19, a little bit from Station
Yeah.
19. We've got to know her a little bit. Um, but I mean, unsurprisingly, statistically speaking, the overwhelming percentage of child sex offenders are straight men and not trans women at all. And 60% of those perpetrators are usually non relative acquaintances, so like a friend of the family or a neighbour. And 30% of the time, children are abused by relatives. So we're talking dads, uncles, cousins. So the likelihood of having a trans woman like Roz abusing a child is about as likely as snow in summer in Barbados. but there we go.
Mm.
What did you think of Andy's reaction to the protesters?
Not professional at
No.
all, but I could understand it. And I like the way she said to Ross later on about she was standing up for her friends,
Yeah.
which obviously is Maya. Yeah, she really shouldn't have done that, but I can understand why she did do it.
Yeah, completely. I thought the same as you. Really unprofessional, but I also just can't. I just can't blame her for it, and
No,
I don't know how I would be in that situation.
I would have done the same
Yeah,
and suffered the consequences.
yeah. So I think I'm leaning towards respecting Andy's outburst, even though it's almost certainly gonna bite her in the
Look,
bum.
quite on the bum, yeah, definitely.
But no, I did respect her for it.
Yeah.
Um, I absolutely loved that the fascist waste of skin that they saved. A took a pasting from a group of gay boys. I bet that did wonders for his street cred and self esteem. But B, I love that he was saved by two people of colour and a queer woman as he laid there,
Yes.
like begging for his life.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That was. Yeah.
Yeah. One of whom was the brother of the woman that he was calling a pedo and a pervert.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah. And that actually reminded me of that episode of Grey's, when you might remember more of it than me because I haven't watched it in God knows how long, but there's an episode where Bailey saves the life of a white supremacist who's got a swastika tattoo. So he's got a swastika tattoo on his chest. And George, a white guy, tells him that Bailey's a better person than him because he would have happily let the
He would let him die.
neo-Nazi
Yeah,
die.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. And I can also get a Peter Page reference in here legitimately because the actor that played the white supremacist in that episode of Grey's Anatomy, whose name eludes me, played a guy called Brian in Queer as Folk alongside Peter Page.
Well done you for all those connections.
Thank you so much. Got to get it in there.
Yeah.
But I digress. But this is why our heroes are our heroes, because they don't think twice about saving the life of a person who would happily extinguish theirs. But I'm sure that the fascist will learn absolutely nothing from the incident and just go about fascisting
Being a fascist, yeah.
as soon as he's okay again. Also, actually, and this isn't a problem with the writing. I think this is a problem with our vernacular just in society en masse. I don't like calling them protesters. I mean, I've done it myself. I've called them protesters in my notes, but thinking about it, I don't think that we can class that as a protest. We protest governments, we protest institutions, we protest ideas and policies. But I think if you protest against the existence of a person or people, that's not protest, that's genocide. Like, if you protest my existence, I don't think that's protest at this point. I think that that's because that's not political, that's personal.
Yeah. I would go from fascist to Nazi, but I don't know whether you're allowed to say this on here, so please edit that out if that's wrong.
Well, but I think if you turn up to an event protesting the existence of a group of people, I don't think that's protest at that point. I think that that is like
Let me say, yeah.
the promotion of genocide. Like, I don't think that you as a group of people should exist.
No.
So I think we need a new word. And I think if you turn up to a gay rights march or a pride march, you're not protesting, you know, there was no political agenda at Pride March. It was just like, yay, let's have a day when we can be out proud and safe. And so I think if you turn up to that, you're not protesting a political point of view. You're not picketing your government. You're not saying, I disagree with a particular subject. You're saying, I disagree with the existence of you. And I don't think that's protest. I think that's more something along the lines of something that Adolf Hitler did.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that word, but that's definitely what that was.
I mean,
Is
there's no getting around it. When you look at kind of people that persecuted a group of people based on a religion or an ethnicity, Hitler did that.
it wasn't just the Jews, though, was it?
Exactly. He also did that with disabled people, and he also did that with queer people. So, and I think that when you get these neo-Nazis and fascist groups, inverted commas, protesting, I don't think we should be calling it that. I think we should be calling it something else. Just my 2 cents.
That's a big 2 cents.
22 cents.
Aha. Isn't that a pop group? Or a pop
If
person?
it's not, then we should start one and call ourselves the 22 cents, because that is a great name.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around long enough to see horrible things happening in the world, and it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
I mean, the world's in chaos. There's so many cruel things going on, and normal people like you and I are trying to just get on with our lives as pleasantly as possible and not affecting anyone. But we can only do our bit.
Yep. And that's why we need shows like this, to be frank, is to kind of show people, that we've the ways in which we're similar are more numerous than the ways in which we are different.
Yeah. True. I agree.
Well, that all got a bit heavy, didn't it?
He did a bit. I think we ought to carry on properly now.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Any more to say about Andy and the parade?
No, I thought it was great, and I loved the music. I have to say, I was all into that.
Yeah, I thought it was really well
great.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So more of that, please, Mr. Page, when you get picked up by Netflix for season 8. I'm manifesting.
Oh,
Shall we move on to Beckett?
oh, Beckett. I loved him in this.
I did. I
Well, I
did.
didn't love him. I warmed a lot to him. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I was going to say that this would be my first Peter Page gush, but I've probably gushed over him just by saying his name in a gushy way. But my first, like, actual Peter Page gush is this series of close-ups of Beckett putting on his uniform,
Yes. Doing his
ending with
up.
him opening the locker door and looking at himself in the mirror before exhaling deeply.
Yes.
I'll save like my thoughts for the discussion part at the end, but how
Okay.
we saw Beckett start his day
Yeah. I
was
noticed that too. Yeah.
getting dressed in the locker
Yeah.
room. And it's his first day back, it turns out, and he congratulates Andy on her captaincy while they're on their way to the beanery. And Andy tells him that he's on desk duty, so he's going to miss the Pride Parade. But he tells her that it may come as a surprise to her because 19 has the whole world peace, love wins, Care Bear thing going on. But Pride isn't really his jam because it's a circus and he isn't there to tame any lions, tigers, or bear. And then we have one of our background firefighters, Cutler, chime in with, "Oh
Oh
my,"
my.
which, if there are young people who haven't seen The Wizard of Oz, they won't get it, possibly. But I just thought it was absolutely brilliant.
It's a classic.
It
Absolute
was, yeah.
classic.
So for people that haven't seen The Wizard of Oz, for a start, go watch The Wizard of Oz. But there's a bit where Dorothy and all of her friends are skipping along the Yellow Brick Road saying, "Lions and tigers and bears, oh my, lions and tigers and bears, oh my," and that's where it comes from. And a colloquial term for gay men is friends of Dorothy, which is a reference to The Wizard of Oz, which is why that was a great line.
Okay, got it. I'll have to watch it now.
You haven't watched The Wizard of Oz?
No,
Angie, what are you doing?
I'm wasting my time doing other stuff.
It's on every Christmas. Get it on.
Okay, that's on my list. I'll write that down. That's on my list now.
There you go. It's a Wizard of Oz reference. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and gay men are friends of Dorothy because Dorothy was in the Wizard of
Is this
Oz,
the
and it was
Judy
a
Garland one?
classic.
Because there was two versions.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, the Judy Garland one. Yeah,
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Angie is literally writing it down and watching her write it down. I love this attention to detail, Angie. I love it. I love it. Right. We later see Beckett on desk duty with his prayer beads talking to someone who I assume to be his sponsor,
Frank.
when a half-naked, very slender and sculpted young man, dressed in nothing but a pair of gold lame shorts and wings, comes to the door thinking that he's having a heart attack. Beckett discovers that Chappie has been injecting appetite suppressants that he got from a telehealth provider in order to lose weight in readiness for Pride. And Beckett then gives him some pain meds and says that he thought Pride was about embracing who you really are, and asks him what the point is of showing up at all if you're not showing up as yourself. And he likens him drinking booze to the weight loss drugs that this guy has been taking, saying that neither will help either of them. And then they have a moment when Mr. Hot Pants wipes glitter from Beckett's cheek, body glitter that's come off his body, ended up on Beckett. And he wipes it from Beckett's cheek, saying that he's rubbing off on him. And Beckett says, "Pride 2025, here I come."
Come, yeah. That made me chuckle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was lovely. It was
was.
lovely. I've got like one kind of neggy thing to say. So shall I start off with my neggy thing and then we can end on a high
Okay.
by saying nice things?
Yeah.
So I thought in all that whole bit with Beckett was a bit too short to have any real impact. And I get that they wanted Beckett to have a quiet moment of contemplation and kind of impart his newfound wisdom. But it just felt a bit rushed, and I didn't feel like it carried the weight that it could have, maybe.
I don't know. I liked it. I liked the whole thing.
Maybe I should watch it again.
And I think because I didn't expect him to be that nice.
Yeah.
It threw a new light on him. I thought he was,
Yeah.
well, and Josh Randall he's superb at that.
He's such a good actor.
Yeah, so dry and straight faced and no emotion, no nothing. He just says the words.
There's a lot of subtlety, I think, in what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a very gifted, subtle actor, and yeah, like quiet brilliance.
Yeah, because I'd noticed he doesn't actually complete a sentence. He stops halfway through, takes a breath, and then finishes it off. Whether he's like that in real life, I have no idea. And
No.
it comes across up for his character perfectly.
Yes, yeah, it does. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, he's very talented.
yeah,
And I absolutely, going back to that opening sequence that Peter Page shot, I loved that of
yeah,
him getting dressed.
yeah.
Because it kind of, for me, it showed the ritual of adding layers, almost like layers of protection, like building up layers of protection, like putting on the uniform and having that as kind of almost like a layer of protection.
I was just about to say it started at the feet, doing the laces up, and then it went up to him putting on his badge, 669, I
Yeah.
think his number is 399, and looking in the mirror, and then like, yeah, here we go.
Yes. Yeah.
I've got to face it
And
now. Here we go.
exactly. And it also, it was like he was taking one small step at a
At
time,
a
just
time.
taking each item of the uniform kind of piece by piece.
Yeah,
And it also almost then felt like the steps of his recovery.
exactly. Yeah,
If you just concentrate on one thing at a time, break it down into
yeah,
manageable parts.
yeah. It was that was
And
yeah, perfect. It
yeah,
was.
and then the placement of the camera for when he swings that locker door open and then boom, his face lands
Yeah,
plumb in the middle of that mirror. I mean, mwah, like
yeah,
chef's kiss. Peter
yeah.
Page, come on.
It was. It was perfect. Absolutely
Yeah.
perfect. And then when he
Um,
saw Andy and he chuckled, "Hi, Captain." Yeah.
yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it was. It was good.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I was dissatisfied, is because he's so good, and it was so lovely to see the evolution of him, and he had a warmth about him but still with his cold delivery, like
Yeah,
his, do you know what I mean, like
yeah.
his
I
words and
do.
his actions
Yeah,
were warm even though his delivery was still very much, you know on brand for Beckett.
yeah, yeah. I can't let
And I
my walls down. I'm a horrible
no,
person. I can't be nice, but I am really.
yes, yeah. And so maybe that's why, maybe I just wanted to see more of his evolution
Goodness.
into,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, the bits of it that were there were superb.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it, that bit.
Yeah. Shall we move on?
Yes.
What about the chief? Shall we talk about the chief next?
Yeah, she had a rough episode, I would say. Very, very rough.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
So we start with her in the Pride procession. She's riding in an open top car alongside the mayor, and in true politician style, they're quietly arguing over policy whilst smiling and waving as if they're having a lovely time. And Robles has agreed to love contracts, which would then make it above board and not against policy for her and Sullivan to date.
yeah,
But in return, he wants Ross to cut 10% of her budget, which means letting people go, despite his pledge before the election to increase the budget. And he says that she's right. Hold on, come on, get your words out, Melissa. And he says that she said that she would do anything to keep her job when he was visiting her in the hospital, and that this is what needs to be done. So she calls him out on making her cut staff, but at the same time instructing her to promote the underqualified union chief to battalion chief. And Robles is unmoved and basically tells her that either she does it or he'll replace her. Then, back at 19, after the incident and during the party in the barn, Sullivan shoots his shot again
mhm.
by handing her a copy of said love contract with "Marry Me" written where she should sign it. And she tells him that it's cute, but that she's going to get him a real one to sign, and walks away, leaving Sullivan dancing and smiling to himself
Yeah,
in the equipment room. So, I mean, that's it for the chief. And I feel like Merle Dandridge was woefully underutilized again.
again, yeah,
However, she did act the heck out of the little bits that she did have, to be fair.
yeah. You could see the on her face when he said, "How did it go with him?" And she said, "Well, let's just say I still have a job." And you could
Yeah,
read all the angst in her face when she said that. because she's
Yes,
got something's got to happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are we surprised, really, that Robles has reneged on his agreement and that he's threatening her with job loss?
No, he's a politician. Don't expect anything better.
No, no. So it's a real shame that it's turned out that way, but
Mm.
I'm confident that she's going to find a way around it. They got around Dixon, they can get around this guy. Like,
Yeah,
there's always a way.
yeah. In Peter Page we trust.
In Pete's Page we trust, absolutely. And how do you feel about Sullivan's now string of proposals?
Oh God. Give it a rest. Eventually she'll marry him, but give it a rest. Although I admire his persistence and I admire
I
her
do.
resistance.
Yeah. And I actually I'm actually warming to it. I think it's quite cute because I think he's trying to let her know I'm not doing this on a whim. I've really thought about it. And you know, we belong together. And so I'm just going to keep going until I wear you down because we both know that this is what's right. Yeah, so I do actually think it's quite sweet. He's
Yeah,
winning me round. And I also thought that the dance at the end when he does like
yeah,
she leaves and he's sort of
yeah,
doing a little dance and it was cute because he was alone and so he was just dancing and smiling to himself because he feels so happy.
yeah,
It wasn't for anyone's benefit, it wasn't for her benefit, it was just literally like he's feeling like this joyful giddy child inside and so
yeah,
that's how he was expressing it. And
yeah,
so that's why I kind of think it's acceptable because it's like he actually really does love her.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
keep
get
going, my man. Keep going. Lock that shit down.
that. Yeah, it was a jolly dance, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was sweet.
I think we've hit it for the chief because there
I
wasn't a
know.
lot there, was there?
Like, like you say, underused again, Natasha, or
Yeah.
Merle, rather. Yeah.
Shall we talk about Vic and Theo?
Yes.
So they have several uncomfortable moments. They start out with an uncomfortable moment in the barn whilst they're talking to Travis. Then they almost bump into each other at Pride, which catches Sullivan's attention. And then Theo tells Sullivan that it's awkward working with his ex and has to be prompted by Sullivan to recall that Andy is Sullivan's ex. So he's being bossed around by her currently. Um, but the three of them are working together and they set up a table with drinks and they have those drinks in those cute little koozies, those pride koozies. Did you see those? The little pride koozies. I want one of those.
In the what? The Pride what?
A koozie.
What's that?
Oh, koozies. They're like neoprene sleeves for your canned
Oh, is
drink.
that what they're called? Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yes.
love those. But anyway, they're setting up like their little drinks table and all the stuff and a first aid tent. And it isn't long before Vic is assisting a very intoxicated person with a nasty gash on their arm, who is accompanied by their wife and their psychic friend Sienna, as you do. Never go anywhere without a psychic called Sienna. But they're not so drunk that their vision is impaired because they tell Vic that she's beautiful and try and get her to come to the parade with them. And they're all a little bit of a handful, the three of them, at the first aid tent. They're playing with supplies. One of them's drawing on a moustache with the blood from their gash, which Vic says is not sanitary, which was a great line. But honestly, those three are the least of anyone's problems considering what's about to go down
Mm.
with the white supremacists. But Vic and Theo then have another awkward touch, which is witnessed by Psychic Sienna, who calls Vic out on her deep wounds and dark energy, and then she tells Vic that she's dying inside. Then Sienna turns their attention to Theo and tells him that he yearns and has regret whilst they look at Vic. And so we all kind of know where that's going. And after the incident, Vic, Theo, and Sullivan treat the drag queen they rescued from the float. And Theo watches Vic with her impeccable bedside manner like a doe eyed puppy. And Sullivan tells him that the witch was right and that he does have it bad and to tell Vic or he might regret it. And then back at the station, the chief hands Theo a copy of the love contract or consensual relationship agreement for he and Vic to sign. Or for him and Vic to sign, I should say. That was bad English. So, your thoughts on the Vic and Theo situation?
Yeah, I'm not sure that Vic is feeling about Theo the regret that he's feeling about her.
Agreed.
Um, I definitely agree with Theo, but there's something else going on with Vic, and it's not just that.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's definitely not the breakup. And I
No,
agree with you. I don't think that she has the same feelings that he does. And I really hope that she doesn't forgive him because, quite honestly, the kiss with Kate was absolutely nothing
yeah,
compared to everything that he did in the lead up to that.
yeah,
He was a completely different guy. He was cruel in parts. You know, he didn't treat her well at all. He was verbally really quite abusive. I think there was a little bit of gaslighting going on at some points, and he was just not a nice person. And I don't really know what's happened in the last couple of weeks, but he's back to being puppy dog Theo again, not the nasty, aggressive guy that he was at the season finale, which was only supposed to be a few weeks ago,
yeah,
really. So it's a big swing back in the other direction to being the guy that we met in season 3
yeah. When he was
or
so
4,
supportive
whenever
of
he.
her and everything as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah, that just, yeah. I'm not quite sure about that.
no,
Yeah, she's got other stuff going on because in the barn when they're all just before they're lining up, and she's teasing Travis about the
yeah,
parade.
yeah,
She was okay with Theo then, really. I mean, she didn't ignore him. She just, there was no sort of barging past him or anything.
no,
But and even then, I see Vic was all jokey and everything to begin
yeah,
with.
jovial and light with
Yeah,
Travis, but
yeah,
then it was like throughout the day,
it, yeah. Something happened. I don't
her
know
her yeah, her mood
whether.
almost like degenerated.
Yeah,
We'll see how that plays out, but agreed. I think Theo is full of regret and is, realizing the error of his ways, and she is not in a place to receive that because there is definitely something adverse going on with Vic, I think.
mm, agreed. We will wait to see what it might be if we
Yeah,
get told.
see how
Yeah,
that plays out.
yeah,
Shall we talk about our girls? Shall we talk about Maya and Karina?
yeah.
I've grouped them together because, again, it was a little bit bitty that Karina was off doing her thing and Maya was doing her own thing, but because they kind of came together at the end, I
I know.
thought let's stick them
That was
together.
so
Let's stick
sweet.
them together.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say there was a lot more Karina with Miranda than there was with her wife.
Which is nice to see, I think,
I
just from
love
a
that.
character development point of view, because it's nice to see her not be an accessory to Maya, I think.
Bishop's wife.
Yes, as Kate put it. Yes,
Yes.
nicely done. Yeah. As
Yeah,
someone other than Bishop's wife.
yeah.
Yes.
She's
Yeah.
now Dr.
So
Karina DeLuca. Yes.
exactly. In her own, she's a person in her own right for
Yes.
once. So yeah, so I enjoyed that she was with Bailey.
Yeah.
So she turns up at Bailey's place with Liam in her arms and baby puke in her unkempt hair. And she's spiraling, saying that there are movers in the apartment, so she doesn't think that Liam should be there around all the dust. And she's overwhelmed at being a new mum and moving house and getting sued and all the stuff. And meanwhile, Maya is at the station, grinning, clutching the keys to her and Karina's new house, which curiously is a rent to buy.
Mm.
I don't think they really need that, but hey. Then at the parade, Maya confides in Ben that she doesn't know if she can do this job, knowing that she might not make it home to Karina and Liam at the end of the day, and says that even walking into the station felt like a 5 alarm fire that morning. And Ben tells her that that's just part and parcel of the anxiety that comes with parenting and that won't go away. And you just have to get out of your head when you're faced with those feelings and do your job. And then, as we briefly mentioned in the parade block, Maya's day goes from bad to worse then when she spots the face she recognizes in the crowd of protesters as her brother Mason. And then, meanwhile, at Casa Bailey Warren, Karina is musing to Miranda how quickly she's fallen in love with Liam, but how unprepared she feels. And Bailey says nothing can prepare you for parenthood before instructing Karina to take a nap whilst she takes care of the baby. And then when Bailey comes back to check on Karina, she finds her scrolling through the case notes for the birth that she's being sued for and offers to go over them with fresh eyes to see whether the suit really is justified.
Mm.
So Bailey looks at the nurse's notes in conjunction with Karina's and confirms that Karina did nothing wrong. which causes Karina to cry with both relief and anger that she's being punished for basically doing the right thing. But Bailey says not to take it personally, that suing is likely the mother's only course of action to get the financial support that she requires for her child. And then back at 19, Maya discloses to everyone around the table in the beanery that Mason was one of the protesters, and Andy orders her to go home to be with her wife and baby. And Maya cannot get up from the table fast enough and doesn't even fight Travis when he motions for her to leave the bowl where it is. And then Karina and Liam are there to meet her on the porch of their new home as Maya's car pulls in, and we see Karina give Maya the grand tour, excitedly showing her the crib that I think we are to assume that she's built. And whilst everyone else is partying the night away in the barn, we see the three of them just quietly slow dancing together in their own little private bliss.
Yeah. I loved that.
It was
I loved
gorgeous,
that.
wasn't it?
It was so sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But as usual, I'll start with like one of my neggy bits. That, you know what I'm like? I get caught up in these details. Why have they got a rent to buy house? Because they'll end up paying like massively over the odds, and they don't need it. I looked up, because you know what I get like. I looked
I've
up the
looked up how much OBGYNs earn as well. I
Yeah,
know.
I looked up the mean wage of a lieutenant in the Seattle Fire Service, and it's over 87 grand.
I don't think that's a lot of money, actually.
Well, when you like look
Considering
at
they're
it
not
as
just firefighters, they're
paramedics as well.
paramedics. But
Yeah, oh,
anyway,
yeah, no, I think that they could definitely do with being paid more.
yeah.
But then the mean wage of an OBGYN in Seattle was like 406 grand with a 26k bonus.
Yes.
So together, they're pulling in about 520k before tax. And a quick Google of two-bed houses in Seattle came up with a mean average price of 829,000. So that's nowhere near double what their combined annual income is. So there's no way they need a rent to buy agreement. They could just get like a weeny little mortgage and they'd be fine.
Yeah. And we don't know, but we assume that the apartment, Maya's apartment, was paid for out of the proceeds from the Olympics. So they're selling that.
Yeah, she was on a box of Wheaties. So again, I
Yes.
same as you, I assumed that she would have done fairly well
Well
out
set
of a
up,
lot of
yeah.
like advertising and appearances and
Yeah.
stuff. And that apartment would have been owned, not rented.
Yeah. So they would have sold that. So they would have a
Yeah,
nice deposit to get, a new house.
yeah.
Yeah. There's
It's just
some
when they chuck
details.
stuff like that in, it's like, why did you
Why do you
throw
do
in
that?
that it's
Yeah.
rent to buy?
Oh, yeah.
Why did you need to put that in? Like, it was just such a, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that just doesn't gel with me at all.
but that's my only moan. But and I
But
know
yeah,
it's like a massive moan about something really small, but hey,
but
it's
yeah,
on brand for me.
yeah. But we pick up on these details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chandra Wilson and
Oh
Stefania
my God.
Spampinato. The chemistry of those two. They are just so easy together.
And I'm biased, but Stefania's got chemistry with a paper bag. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but no, I mean, I know they call Ben Dad. They should call Miranda Mom.
Yes,
But
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, yeah, I mean, when they're on the sofa and she's on about what she got sued for, it was like
Yeah.
an eye
With
roll.
with the yeah, and it
Yeah.
was an eye
And
roll. Yes.
Karina's trying not to giggle and she's hiding behind her iPad or a laptop, whatever it is. It's just
Yes.
classic.
But it felt that's the part that I recall as well, because it felt so organic, the way they kind of overlap and interrupt, and it
It was
really felt
natural.
like an organic, a real conversation between two colleagues who have become a lot more than colleagues.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you can always rely on Stefania Spampinato to give us a good cry as well, can't you? Like, as she does when Bailey tells her it wasn't her fault.
She's brilliant at that.
She's just like the fixer of all, but so casually.
Yeah.
Like, just very casually, here's some baby stuff. Now go take a nap before I use your mind about your impending court case.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Karina walked in there, stressed out of her mind, everything on top of her, just this whirlwind of emotion and anxiety, and a few hours with Bailey, and she's literally chilled out.
Yeah.
She feels better about everything. And
Everything.
so
Yeah.
then she was able to go home, build the crib, and then when Maya comes home, she's chilled and happy. Maya didn't get that. This has been my day, and this is and I don't know what to do about this, and this is upsetting me. Maya didn't have that
No.
because it was
She got the happy skippy
Bailey
jump when she showed her the crib.
when she showed her the crib.
Oh,
Yeah,
I loved Maya's face when she looked at Karina when she'd done that. And we all thought, yeah, she's going to check every nut and bolt on that afterwards.
yeah.
There's no way Liam's going in that yet.
I trust her to make a lasagna, to make a crib.
Nah, maybe not.
Bless her. What do you think about Maya confiding in Ben that she's questioning her career choice now that she's a mother?
Yeah, well, I think they're setting us up for a future. I wouldn't say complications. I think she's thinking about her future big time. She can't bear not to be with Karina and the baby, and putting her through the angst of maybe dying on the job. So that's what I think.
So you think she's setting us up for her to leave?
Yeah, to leave and I can imagine her doing firing investigations work or training at the academy. I think she'd be excellent for that.
I can see her doing fire investigation. I think that's like right up her street because she's very kind of organized
Analytical, and
and
yeah, she's going to
yeah,
get
and
right into the nitty gritty of that. And
she
yeah,
loves anything that requires a clipboard and a checklist.
she's, yeah, perfect for her. Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I could see her doing that. Yeah,
and that'd be a
perfect.
great spin-off series as well, fire investigations.
Wouldn't it just? Yes, it would be perfect.
Yeah, I
Let's
wouldn't say no to
manifest that
that.
one, Melissa. Let's manifest that big time.
Well, if we can't get a series 8 of this, I'll take that.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Um, I also loved how eager she was to leave work.
Yeah, very untypical Maya. She couldn't
Yeah,
wait. I mean, she was, yeah. And she loved it that Travis said that I got it when she wanted to wash her bowl up and everything. I
yeah,
know, I'll leave
yeah.
the filthy, dirty bowl there. You can deal with that. And I want to get home to my wife
She's
and
gone
baby.
from she's gone from having 100 personal days in series 3 and like, well, I can spare you a weekend, but I'm gonna be like phoning in and having a panic attack when I can't be in
Yeah,
control of the situation,
yeah,
to
all
like
the time. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
literally
yeah,
like
yeah,
getting up and bolting out of
yeah,
the beanery
yeah,
to
yeah.
get home to the missus.
Yeah, she ran, almost ran away, didn't she?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and didn't look back.
Run away. Yeah,
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 no, loved it, loved
yeah.
it.
Well, I love that too. It's fun. It just shows her evolution. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, as a character and a person and
yeah,
everything else.
yeah.
And I've shocked myself, but I'm here for the Marina domesticity. I can't believe that I've done a full 180 from why have we got to give them bloody kids? Not all of us want bloody kids, to like, oh, I just want to see them snuggle in front of the fire.
I don't mind him having kids. I just didn't want him involved. That's
Yeah,
my
you didn't
take
want
on that.
the you didn't like the jack of it all.
Yeah,
Shall we move on to Travis?
yeah. My hero of
I've,
the episode.
yeah, I think that he had, for once, I think Travis is sometimes underserved as a character. There's a lot of sort of comedy value, I think, in Travis. He's there for the one-liners and
Which he
the
does very
comic
well,
relief.
doesn't he? Yeah.
Which Jay Hayden is absolutely superb at. The man's like a natural comedian.
Mm.
But it was nice for Travis to have actually something like quite meaningful.
Something, yeah, meaty to get his teeth into. Yeah.
Yes. So we open the show with Travis being cynical at best and somewhat, dare I say it, homophobic at worst about the Pride Parade that they're preparing for. And he says, we're here, we're queer, and we don't need to look like a box of Lucky Charms twice a year to prove it. And then we find out that at least some of his bad mood is because he's meeting his dad's boyfriend, Kyle, at the parade. And Vic can't help teasing him, asking him if he's worried if his new stepdad is going to ship him off to boarding school.
I love that.
She's so naughty.
Yeah.
And he tells her that she's not good people.
People.
Which I'd have to disagree. I think she's the best people.
She
But
was.
we see him very uncomfortable at the parade, and
Yeah.
Eli's there being a very supportive boyfriend. And then Travis and Travis's dad introduce each other to their respective partners. And it turns out that Travis's dad's boyfriend, Kyle, is not only a DJ, but he is also a dentist, and he's Eli's dentist.
Yeah.
But Travis is immediately super rude to the boyfriend and then insults Kyle and his own father and their relationship because they're having an open relationship. And he has a big pop at them for being non monogamous, knowing full well that he slept with Emmett twice.
Yes.
So Eli is the consummate host, which really should be Travis's job, but he and the dentist are bonding over music, and he asks Kyle to let him know when he's next got an event going on. But Travis shuts Eli down immediately, saying that it's not his thing before Eli can even finish his sentence. And so then Eli pulls Travis aside and calls him out on his attitude. And it's at that point that Travis decides to confess to Eli that he did sleep with Emmett
Twice.
twice. Yeah. Eli then tells Travis that he saw it coming. He calls Travis a hypocrite and he calls him a judgmental prick. And he tells him that he has such internalized homophobia that he chose the most hyper masculine career he could, and then calls Travis the most repressed man he knows, which working in politics is saying something. And then to really stick the knife in, he tells Travis, like father, like son.
Yeah.
Travis's dad has overheard the whole thing and asks Travis if he wants to talk about it. And he tells his dad that he's the last person on earth that he would want to talk to about it. He does, however, want to talk to Vic, but she doesn't give him the answers that he wants. And she says that maybe Eli's delivery was wrong, but he wasn't. And then goes on to say that Herrera had to force Travis to wear that pride shirt and that he'd been complaining about pride all day. And it's only when the incident occurs and that there's a bit of a stampede that he kind of realizes that his dad could be in danger and goes to find them and then offers them an apology for his behavior. And Kyle just accepts it readily with no qualms, and he seems to actually be a really good guy.
Yeah.
Talking of good guys, Eli has stuck around after the incident to make sure that Travis is okay. And then he very kindly, quietly, and graciously breaks up with him. And Travis doesn't resist.
Mm.
Then we see Travis alone at the party in the barn, and he's watching everyone else having fun when he's approached by his dad, who tells him that it's not Travis's fault that he'd been a jerk all day because it's hereditary, and that his biggest regret is having pushed so many of his hang ups onto Travis. And he tells him that he taught Travis to feel ashamed of his sexuality out of fear because of his own sexuality, and that that's why he buried it down deep, and that the shame that Travis carries doesn't belong to him. It's his father's shame, and he should let it go. And then he tells Travis that he's proud to be his father as Travis cries, and they embrace before going off to dance with the others. So, did I miss any major points, or did...
No, the only part it's right at the very, very end when they're in the barn dancing, and he finally lets go, and he's just like free when he's dancing.
Yeah, he's completely unburdened.
It's done in the world of good having that conversation. Well, all of that today, that day, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a perfect summary. Other than that,
So, I mean, Travis, he did have a rough day, but he
he was
didn't treat people particularly well.
he was a total dick, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was. I mean, he was so harsh to Eli that when Eli said, "Oh, are you sure you're okay with me meeting your dad?" and he says, "Oh yeah, it'll be
You
a good
good
buffer."
buffer. Yeah, I mean, God, is that the only reason I'm here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not no. Yes, of course, you're my boyfriend, and
yeah,
you're lovely, and
yeah.
it would
I
be
want
my
to
pleasure
introduce
to
you. That's
introduce.
right.
Yeah,
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 meet the
yeah, yeah.
parents.
Yeah, just
No,
like, oh yeah, no, that'll do. That's a good buffer between my dad and the awkward conversation we're going to have about his fella. Thank you very much.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then when he's told Eli that he cheated on him, all he's worried about is Eli making a scene.
Yes, it's all about him.
Yes, absolutely. And then good old Eli was so gracious in the way that he ended the relationship, because he could have left it at "you're a judgmental prick and you and your dad deserve each other" and walking off.
Yeah,
But he had
yeah, quite
such
easily could have done
kind
that.
words for him.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, as you say, he was a total gentleman. Let him down slowly and easily, softly. Waited around for him, made sure he was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel a bit vindicated because I've been a little bit of an Eli fan.
Well, I've been very anti Eli.
Well,
Middle
he
class
just,
jerk.
yeah, I know, but I went to school with lots of middle class jerks. So,
Yes, I can understand you.
no, he really did just like remind me of some of the boys that I went to college with, particularly, who came across with that, well, with that arrogance that you naturally have when you're a white middle class man, I think.
Yeah,
Um, but and so that, you know, they do seem quite arrogant and quite cocksure, but then underneath they really are good people. Some of them, not all of them. So
yeah.
just saying, but so I'm not automatically put off by that kind of attitude because
You're used
yeah,
to it, aren't you?
I'm
Yeah.
used to it. Yeah. So I know that occasionally there is a good person underneath all of that.
Yeah, and I have to say, he did shine through in the episode.
Yeah.
He endeared himself to me a bit, which is probably a shame because he won't be in the rest of it.
No, well, no, exactly.
Hey ho.
But I think that he had shown some good qualities before. I mean, like he'd gone to pick up Andy that time to take her out to dinner, and she was investigating something and had like paperwork
She was distracted,
all over the
yeah.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so he was like, "Oh, let's bin off dinner then. I'll just help you with your thing."
yeah.
And I do think that he's been a good guy all along. He's just got that sort of attitude, I think, that puts people off.
It's the
But
Britishness, I think.
yes, yeah. But as you say, now that everyone's gonna get to see, oh look, Eli's not a bad sort,
Yeah,
he's off.
yeah. Bye.
Oh dear.
You've converted the
Well,
masses. Bye.
yeah, exactly. There's his little swan song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The other thing that I really loved, and I'm going to give Peter Page full credit for
Who's
this. I'm
that?
going to
Who's Peter
Peter.
Pan?
You not heard of him?
No,
He's.
not
I mean,
much.
he's a sort of, I guess, slightly above average guy that works in TV.
Oh right. Oh him. Oh, was he have
Yeah,
anything to do with the Fosters by any chance?
the Fosters, the Fosters. That rings a
Do you know
bell.
that? Do you know? And
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. Now you come to mention it. Yeah, yeah. That's him.
Oh
But,
right.
but, but I'm going to give him credit for a great bit of directing at the end when Travis and his dad are on the like little walkway above
Yeah.
the barn,
Yeah.
and his dad's kind of basically saying to him, "You're a chip off the old block." And during that conversation, their body language even matches. They're
Yeah.
both leaning on the railing, clasping their
Yeah.
hands, kind of hunched over. And I just thought,
Genius.
that's,
It was
yeah,
genius,
that
wasn't it?
is attention to detail.
Yeah.
That was so good.
It was.
And hats off to Stacey Okinola for the powerful words from Travis's dad.
Yeah. They had to be said though, didn't they?
Yeah, but it just made me realize how lucky I've been in my situation to have parents who have accepted me kind of almost from the off.
Yeah.
And you know, the only shame that I've ever felt has come from the world at large, really. And I have to say, particularly from the media, from television and popular culture, which certainly in, I would say, the mid 90s and onwards, for quite some time when I was kind of realizing, you know, who I am, painted gay women particularly as predatory, sometimes mentally ill, sometimes criminal, sometimes criminally insane. Sometimes they were criminals and mentally ill.
Oh God.
And,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's the only kind of shame that was ever heaped on to me was from the outside. It never came from my own family. I never had to deal with that at home. And so I can only imagine how healing hearing those words would have been for Travis. And I hope that that kind of spreads outwards from this episode, and that some viewers have also kind of taken some heart in that.
Yeah, I mean they are wonderful at doing stuff like that, aren't they? This show, just
Yeah,
shining a light on a particular thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
And talking of the Fosters, and I don't feel so guilty about bringing up the Fosters now, because I've had a couple of people write in to the podcast and say how much they also love the Fosters and what a big show it was for them. And someone that I was on a getaway with also loves the Fosters, and that show means a lot to them. So I don't mind bringing it up so much. I think that there's probably a shared audience. But one of the main characters on the Fosters had a similar upbringing, in as much as she worshipped her father and even chose the same career path as him. But he was very religious and did not accept her sexuality or her family when she got married and had children in the way that he should have done. I mean, he literally kind of tolerated them, but it wasn't, you know, he never embraced them. And he actually passed without having that conversation with Steph, the character Steph. And it kind of came a through line for her whole character arc, that she carried this shame from her father's lack of acceptance. And so, because I've seen it done the other way so well by Peter Page on television, I was really stoked for Travis that his father told him what he needed to hear before it was too late.
yeah, yeah.
And so,
That was monumental, I think.
yeah. And I think that also that's kind of, if, oh God, please don't let it be, but if this is the last season of Station 19, it's great for Travis to have closure on that chapter of his life, because that has been such a through line for Travis as well. And, you know, I remember him having that flip out with Tracy Toms. Diane, that's Dr. Diane.
Diane Lewis, yeah.
Yes, in was it season 3 when he and Emmett were having an affair, and he was really angry that Emmett was in the closet and took it so personally.
Talking about the rabbit, was it?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. He was calling Emmett his bunny rabbit because Diane didn't want him using people's names in a
Yeah,
public space when he was talking about personal things. Yeah, so
yeah,
he was saying, my bunny rabbit has
yeah,
kept himself in a hutch, that kind of thing. Yes.
yeah,
So it's been such a through line for him. And so I think to have this is great. And hopefully now he can, you know, Eli said, didn't he, to him, once you realize your own self-worth, you're going to be a brilliant partner to somebody.
yeah,
And I think that maybe at this point, now that his father said that, he can actually do some work and maybe get an Emmett or an Eli, maybe get the Emmett or the Eli back if he wants them,
yeah,
and actually have a productive long-term relationship. Because I know he had a successful marriage with Michael, but it was very much cut short.
yeah,
So if Michael hadn't been killed, who knows if they would actually still be together or not.
yeah. And and actually, I don't know whether his father would have come out either. Felt comfortable coming out.
No.
It may have had a knock-on effect, but yeah, I agree. Travis can now hopefully embrace it, find somebody else, and have a fantastic life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go Travis. Go
yeah,
Trevor.
yeah, yeah. Go, Trevor. Yeah, all we need now is to win her around.
Yeah.
I'll miss her.
They do need to bring Kitty back. She
Kitty, I
needs
couldn't
to,
remember her name. Yeah, she's
yeah.
just, yeah.
They need to get her like some kind of job on reception or something, just so we can have some
Yeah,
kitty time.
yeah. No, kitty time. I like that. I've got innuendo.
Oh no. You are naughty.
I know.
Have we?
I've gone all red and hot. I'm blushing now.
Oh
Calm down.
dear. Have we finished? Was there any more to say about Travis?
No, I think that's, yeah, no.
I think we've hit it all.
I think we fit it.
Overall, I thought this was actually a fantastic episode.
Yeah, definitely.
And one thing that I really, really loved about it was how the only kind of homophobia and toxic masculinity that we saw in the episode came from the one gay man who's a,
Yeah,
who works at
irony,
19.
irony. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And obviously like the white supremacists, but kind of that was the
Yes.
point. But no one got misgendered. None of the roughy tufty men at the station backed away from the drag queen
No.
or was worried about being called girl by any of them. Like a couple of times they got girl, I think
Yeah.
Beckett got called girl. I
Yeah.
think Sullivan got called girl. They did not flinch.
Nope.
And again they didn't flinch when they were touched by a gay man.
Yeah,
And
Beckett. I mean,
yeah,
Beckett got his cheek felt. Yeah.
yeah. And it was weird for me to watch, but beautiful
Yes.
because as a gay person, I'm so used to watching gay characters and storylines with just like a little bit of tension in my body
Yeah.
because I'm waiting to take kind of the emotional gut punch of someone being misgendered or some character explaining uncomfortably, like, oh, I'm not into that, in inverted commas, or being terrified of what it might mean if they're seen smiling down on a drag queen or
Yeah.
letting a gay man wipe glitter off their face, so used to like, oh yeah, no, but I'm not that way, like it normally has to be qualified.
Yeah.
Um, but so it felt really, really good at the end of this episode to kind of just let all of that tension go out of my body because every person to a person, bar Travis, was just like kind and loving and gracious to every single being at that parade, regardless of their sexuality, gender, whatever.
Yeah. Even Ross, when there was three people came into the bar, and she said, "Yeah, the party's over there." She
Yes,
didn't flinch, and then
no,
what was
just
it?
just welcome. And
Welcome. Yeah, it's
yeah,
over there. And then
yeah,
when I forgot what his name was when he came in and he was looking for the boo tenant.
yeah, I can't remember their name either, but the drag queen that came
Yeah,
in sort of defrocked and
defrock
with
with
a
yeah,
yeah.
and he switched on the lights on his jacket. And then Theo says to her, "You got to have to fight him."
Yes, yeah,
And she said, "Oh,
and
I'll take her on. We'll take him on." Yeah,
yeah, like yeah, I can take her. Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
worried. I can take her.
yeah,
But it was the fact that yeah, that Theo just made that joke to the chief
yeah.
with zero scorn, zero sense of irony.
No,
He didn't kind of make a joke out of it. Oh, you better watch Sullivan. It was like it was yeah, it was lovely. And so seeing these like roughy, tufty, gruff men treating a drag queen like a lady
yes.
as well. It was just lovely.
And I
It was
love
just
it.
so lovely.
Yeah, when they were in the barn actually dancing at the end, they were all together. Whatever they
Yeah,
were all together.
yeah, and there was no kind of like, oh, watch your back,
Yeah,
boys.
I
Like there
don't
was no,
dance near you. Yeah, yeah, it was
yeah, there was none
fantastic.
of it, none
No,
of it.
it was.
So I think I've said this. I think I've used this phrase before when talking about this show. But this was an episode of television that I didn't know I needed until I saw it.
I get that totally. Yes.
So yeah, it's just like big thanks, I think, to Stacey Okinola and Peter Page.
Yeah. Actually, as an aside, I've started watching the Fosters.
Have you?
Yeah, not today.
Oh,
Weeks ago, and not after yesterday, I'm going to start watching it again. Start the whole thing
yeah,
again. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, it's such a great show. People,
mm.
if you haven't watched The Fosters, you really probably should. It's just absolutely superb television.
I think I got to about 5 episodes. I think so.
Yeah.
It's on my watch list along with the Wizard of Oz.
Excellent. Did you see any themes popping out in this episode of Station 19?
Um, yeah, out of all that chaos, there was lots and lots of settled moments. People settling into stuff, whether it's
Yeah.
relationships, job, whatever it was. That's what I got from that.
sort of like the calm after the storm.
Exactly, because that it was very, very chaotic
Yes, yeah.
for several reasons. But no, yeah, there was, yeah. You?
I honestly struggled with themes.
Okay.
I didn't really see like an overarching one. The only sort of two things that I saw that were connected, apart from, I mean, I think that you've probably hit the nail on the head, but the only two things that I saw that sort of seemed quite connected were Travis and the result of his upbringing and how that's affected him. And then obviously with Mason, his upbringing and how that's affected him. But they were that, but I really did kind of struggle with themes other than that. And what are you looking forward to coming up in the next episode or episodes?
Oh, so much. Maya and Karina getting on with the baby and lovely family life. But
Yeah,
also talking of Mason, why have they introduced Mason?
yeah,
Why? There's got to be some follow on from that.
yeah,
Um, and then like Karina with the lawsuit, that's got to be
yeah,
resolved. Even though she knows that she's innocent and they can't prove anything, that's got to be resolved.
yep,
Um, what's going to happen about the job cuts?
yep.
Yeah, Andy and Ross are going to fight, I think, over numbers.
Yeah, that would be understandable.
Yeah. Oh, and Ben. What about Ben and his back?
He's twinged his back. Look, we've all put our back out having a little boogie.
But no, there's something going on there. Vic, there's
Yep.
something going on with Vic.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the whole new episode.
Yeah, I think we've got several cans of worms open at the minute.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think the ones that stand out for me are Karina's lawsuit,
Yeah,
the Chiefs' political issues, and for me, honestly, I think my number one thing along the similar lines to yours, which is what comes of the Mason situation.
yeah. I don't bode well for that.
No. Who did you think had the best growth?
I think Travis.
Yeah.
Yeah. You?
Yeah, I don't think anyone necessarily like grew over the course of the episode for me. I think that we're going to see the fruits of Travis's growth in future episodes. I
Yeah,
think that he had like the biggest arc, I think, and I think that yeah, the growth will come.
yeah.
And then I think in terms of again, she didn't grow throughout the episode, but I think today was just proof of how far Maya has come in the last year and further than that, that she continues to put her family before her ambition.
Mm. Since the rooftop scene, I can't have a
Yeah.
baby with that.
Yeah.
Sort yourself out, love, else
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
stopping with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you think was the best scene?
I loved Karina and Bailey on the
Yeah.
sofa.
Yeah. I loved, from an artistic perspective, I loved Beckett getting dressed. I think that that was really powerful and it was really artistically done.
Yeah.
Um, but as an overall scene, kind of taking everything into consideration, I think I would go with you, with Bailey and Karina, when Bailey says to her, "You've done nothing wrong."
Yeah. And yet she still cried and felt guilty.
Yeah, I think that sometimes when you've got so much built up in your body, like that's the only way to let it go, whether it's relief, anger, fear, elation, like I think whatever it is, sometimes that's the only way to get it out.
All the things. Yeah,
All
absolutely.
the things,
Yeah.
yeah. And what about the best line or the best piece of dialogue for you?
Well, it's got to be Beckett. Ouch here, ouch there. When he's examining Angel, I just
Yeah,
thought,
prodding glitter boy. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, that was
I
brilliant.
didn't
Ouch here,
expect that
ouch
from
there.
him. It was, and his deadpan delivery
Yes, yes. Completely straight face.
completely.
Brilliant.
I just made me chuckle.
I loved Travis's dad's speech. I thought that was really beautifully done. But also, just for comedy value, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! And it was also just such a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
So hats off to you, Stacey Okanula. And who was your MVP for the episode?
Well, I struggled with that, but I want to say Travis because I thought he brought more value to it because of what the content of him and his father.
Yeah, valid reason. Valid reason. I like it.
Thank you.
Quite welcome. I'm going to bring out the old tried and tested. No one will be surprised at my answer, but Stefania Spampinato gets the trophy for me. But she gave us the full spectrum again when she came into Bailey's house like a whirling dervish of misery. It was just sheer comic genius. And then by the end of it, she was, crying, and we had all the drama. So I just loved the range that we got from her again.
Yeah,
From the
she's
divine
amazing.
to the the
Yeah,
divine to the ridiculous.
yeah.
And what was your most gifable moment?
It was actually Ross talking to the mayor just after they had the car backfire, and
Yeah.
everybody thought it was gunshots, and she says, "I was trained to know the difference, weren't you?"
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one. I
Yeah,
like it. Um, I went with Sullivan's silly little moment when Sienna says to him, "You're chasing something, and if you're patient, you'll catch it." And he goes, "Yay!"
yeah,
and does jazz hands.
yeah,
And huge, like 6'7" Sullivan doing jazz hands, going, "Yay!"
yeah.
Just
That
amused
was
me no
hilarious.
end.
Yeah, it was funny.
Well, Angie,
Yes.
yay! You
Indeed.
have just completed your inaugural Station 19 2020 podcast episode.
Brilliant. That's been such fun.
It has been fun. Thank you so much for coming and joining me. It's been fantastic.
No problem.
Yeah, it's been an
See,
absolute joy.
what's an American say? Thank you for having me.
Or probably like, it's been real or
Oh
something.
yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
been real. Yeah, and any of those phrases. No, it's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. The pleasure's been all mine. And next week, I will be back with someone new. Maybe someone we know, maybe someone we don't. And we will be discussing Trouble Man. The synopsis says the team faces a grueling 24-hour shift that threatens to split them apart. Andy must make an impossible decision, and Maya and Karina navigate new parenthood. Ooh, 24-hour
Ooh,
shift that threatens to split them apart. That sounds good.
is that Stefania's directorial debut?
Yes, it is.
Oh God, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So that'll be next week. So I will say goodbye to all of you for now. Thanks for tuning in, and a massive thank you and a massive round of applause. This is going to sound quite poor, Angie, because it's just going to be me in my kitchen. But just imagine, hundreds, if not thousands, of people around the globe just kind of going
Okay.
like that.
Imagination is running riot. I've
There
got
you
this.
go. There you go. The crowd goes wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you ever so much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.